Oh no. Okay. Now I was just checking my accounts and my projects, and watch me. I gotta wait for the VNC to catch me up. Yeah, there it goes. It's very weird that that happens. So again, welcome to the Del Fuego, and aboard this ship we are going to take a look at how I spend my off hours or my waiting while my work is being done hours. At some point, there's literally only so much you can do before the day is, for the day to finish. Okay, I have two types of software, a couple of types of software that automates a certain process. Okay, um, two softwares, um, which is this and Browser Automation Studio, which is you're making your own set of bots. They are tools that you could use in the background, so they can continue to do whatever you want it to do, which is fine. I'm perfectly fine with that. Um, However, I got another tool called Cloud Poster, and it actually uses the browser. So essentially, the Cloud Poster is the same as hiring a VA to do your work in front of your computer, which means you lost your computer. Well, I VNC into another computer so that my virtual machine is doing the work for me, so I could have my laptop to myself. And generally speaking, this computer that we're on is actually the computer I VNC into, so I can work remotely. But let's assume for a minute I'm crunching all this. My computer's making cloud posts, stuff like that. What do I do in the meantime? Well, inside of my little heart, is a bug called the Tinker bug. And what that means is I just like to simply create and dabble with more technology. And technology is my thrill. Okay, and I'm not the best, I'm not the greatest, far from it. But then I got to thinking, I may not be the only one who's interested in tech and want to get started in it or to do what I just to have fun with it. Of what I call developing your own world for you, right? And what I'm about to say is probably going to be what's the word I'm looking for? It's probably going to be like a taboo kind of thing, whereas developers would say that's not the way you should do it. You should learn how to do it by hand and then stuff like that. Whereas, as you know, I web design um, is part of the job description as a digital marketer. But here's the thing. We'll get to this in a second. Here's the thing. I am going to go here. I'm going to go to Weebly, which is a sample web design builder, website builder. So I'm going to go inside real quick. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time. Um, let's see how many sites I got. Oh yeah, let me go here. So I could add a site. goodness. Oh, this is another thing that I should tell you about Money Robot. In the process of creating from these horrid websites, you're going to find yourself with a lot of trash coming your way. To this day, it's bad, but at the same token, I haven't felt it. But it is what it is. So let's say a guy said, "You know what, Dave? I need a website. I'm a landscaper, so I'll go to Weebly." Now, mind you, I could do this easily the same way with WordPress. In fact, there are tools called Divi. It's one of the most popular ones. Divi, WordPress. I think it's like a plugin or something like that. But it's pretty humongous. Okay. Visual Page Builder. Right? This whole website was done by a Divi tool. Okay. Essentially what's going on is there are people who are hard coding all the process so that your life could be easier. Okay. They know how to make I guess you would say the software work for you. Okay, and these are all delicious stuff. Look at this. Let me take a look at this. Build visually. Okay, now I could actually set up a Divi theme right now. But you get the idea. It's just, and then what happens is you get people that'll say, well, it's not real web design, because real web design is when you do this. I can even go right here because I don't feel like typing. Let me just do this. Real web design is when you do it this way, right? You go in here, you take this code, copy, paste it, put it right here, right? And then in the head you have that. Then you got link, and then all that other jazz, right? Well, however, I do say this is a good idea. I would say that if you got the time, learn how to build a page at least by hand. If I was going to say recommend it, okay, right? What you're going to learn is, I would say you would learn the appreciation for a tool like Divi. Plus, at the same token, you will also learn what a lot of the stuff means. What does it mean to have a header tag or a H1 tag? What does it mean to have a layout? What does it mean to have transforms? What does it mean to do this, that, and the other? And if you now usually when I start, I tend to have a tool go and do it for me a lot of the time, straight into straight into building out. Then I would come down and I open up the wrong thing. There we go. So we have so you just have the tool going there. Oh man, I just have a hard time with this because my normal computer looks a lot like this. It's funny. It's almost set up in the same exact method. It's my own fault, really. So I put in the meta tag for descriptions. Not that we need it anymore. Meta or CSS stuff, CSS link. So what is the CSS, right? If you have some idea of that, you would have an appreciation for what those other tools do, and it gives you a better understanding of what you're doing. However, there's a part with learning to program, right, or learning to develop, learning to um, code. Okay, and I'll show you what that is in just a second. So let's say, mm, what could it be? Oh yeah, let's do this. I'm going to take this part out right here. Oh, all right. So then I'm going to save it as the desktop. I'm going to call it coolness.html, which is good. Okay. Now watch what happens. So I'm going to open that up. Always. I don't know why you're even asking me that question, computer. Then I would say, oh no, I didn't want this to be big like this. I wanted this to be big and this to be a normal paragraph. And so next thing I got to figure out what's going on. Why am I seeing that? And I might say, oh, look, I didn't have a closed H1 tag. Okay, and stuff like that. And then so now when I do it, save it, refresh, is exactly how I want it to be. So oftentimes, what I like to do is cheat my way through, if you will. I want to be a ninja without, I want to have the ninja skills without being a ninja, if that makes sense. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So let's assume for a minute I didn't want to learn how to write all that stuff in. So guess what? I'm going to come here, take this, copy, and then paste it into my, paste it into my editor, right? And then if I was wanting to be nice with it, I could, the right thing to do is to actually comment your way through. Put your paragraph information in the and then close it out, right? I do the right thing in all types of programming, typically speaking. You're supposed to do this, okay? Now in HTML, you typically don't. Eventually what's going to happen is, let's see if I could figure this out, figure out a good place. Let's just use this. Let's view the page source. Now to the rest of us, this looks like nonsense. It's all gibberish. But that's not what I'm looking for, right? So let's get to the point where it does make common sense. Let's start off at the top, actually. You see where it says doc type HTML? Just like you have here, okay? Then you got some, obviously Google has to have schema. Funny. Okay, look at this. Title, Divi WordPress Google search. So the title would be in this tab area, Divi WordPress Google search. I hope you can see that in the stream. And let me take a moment to say this too. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. If you show up, please join the Discord channel that's from the link in the description. You'd be a welcome addition. So, that being said, I want to not just now in the past, there used to be a distinction of a designer, a developer, and stuff like that, and there still is. In the past, you would have a guy who would. I'm going to show you what his job was. His job is to take a tool like this, most likely Photoshop, pixel or editor. We're talking some 20 years. If anybody still uses this process, I wouldn't know who. Okay, but my people and I, um, we don't do this way. We actually use Divi to make our websites. Why? Because if I were to hand code everything I'm doing here on Divi, then if I were to hand code this on Divi, or I'm sorry, just hand code this, I'd be forever. Look at this. Let's view the page source here again. There, look, CSS right there. Let me go ahead and copy this. Select all, copy, and let's bring it to the coolness thing here. All right, there we are. Now this might be a situation because there's nothing to call on. Anyways, you get the idea. Let's see. Let's see what else. Nope. Flash. Wow. So what I like to look for is, and what makes common sense to me is where it says you need. Wow. I'm not going to do that. Let's get rid of this. Let's go find some other place. Let's use this instead. View page source. Oh, this makes common sense. Copy. And we'll go here. There we go. So let me scroll up to the top. The future of WYSIWYG. Can we see that there? Now let me go into WYSIWYG. Simply means what you see is what you get. Alright, let's see if we can find that here on the thing. The future of WYSIWYG. Alright, great, wonderful. So in the code, I could see the row is 3 column, right? These are all classes. I mean, if you know your if you know your web stuff, you could kind of see it, right? And these are all blocks, right? These are all the 3 squares, and I'm not sure if I can show it to you. Let's go this way with it. So there you go, right here. No, right there. There we go. That might be the first one. Yep. Column container is the next one. All right. So let's go here with it. As you can see, this starts the whole thing. Okay. Now, if you see where this div here and this div there meet, fortunately, Notepad++ has enough sense to tell us that this div belongs here, right? The way HTML works is you got to open a lot of code really. Now, a lot of code, you got to have it where you open it and then you close it. Sometimes that's not always the case. But let's see what happens if I saved it and then now let me open it up. Let's see what happens. It might look like okay. So take a look there. The logo is gone. That's gone. There's nothing up here, right? There's nothing there for it to be called upon. Okay. You use cookies. Fine. But generally speaking, the reason why it's able to work is because of the background stuff. So watch again. We are going to, in order to make this work, I'm just going to close it or cut it off and then save. I want you to see what happens when it fell apart, right? See, and then when I used to start, I was pretty upset a lot because it's hard. I mean, we do something, and this is a simple fix. All I gotta do is go back to the line and say, oh, paste, and then it's back together. Well, how many lines of code are we talking here? Let's go all the way down. 200 or 2,961 lines of code. 2,961. Oh, there's more. I'm sorry. Nearly 3,000 lines of code. Okay. To be honest, I, I I couldn't tell you. Um, I couldn't tell you how long it would take me just to write 3,000 lines of code. Um, Simply because in order for a website to work, it has to call on a whole bunch of other stuff too. Um, can you imagine writing this out? Can you imagine? Let me see where else we could go. And these are all different types of versionings too. So that's what that's all about. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but there it is. Um, but there's a lot. There is a whole lot. Because at some point, generally speaking, a developer for a website isn't using Notepad++. They may not be. There are other tools. Adobe has a bunch of tools for that are known for great web design, for great web designers and developers. Um, but this isn't what I'm doing with my day while my computer is working away. However, what I'm trying to get at is if you if I paid you to build me a website, let's say I'm just say if I'm the client, your client, I paid you to build me a website. You could do it this way, or you could use this tool as a designer. Let's say I'm Elegant Themes, right? And then you say, well, this is the website we bought, or this is the website we created. What do you think? right? Do I know that you're dragging and dropping? Probably, probably not. But here's the thing. Let's say I do know about Weebly, and let's say I'm a guy who says, you know, I really like how Divi did it over here. Let's see if I could get it going on right here because I'm a landscaper, right? Ideally, what you do is you cut and paste. I mean, you snip ideas in your brain. I really like this setup. Let's see if we can get that going. I really like this. I like the background, stuff like that. And then oftentimes what happens is you get the people who will start to build, and oftentimes what they do is they make more of a mess than they do than not. And what ends up happening is what they started off with, which may look like this, by default, this is pretty clean, right? But let's just say I'm going to start the editing process. But more times than not, what's going to happen is you get it. Let's just create a whole new page. It doesn't have to be anything. We'll just say a standard page. We'll just call it new page. And what they do is they'll come back to the build area. They'll say, okay, I want a text here. I want that here. And then I want more here. And then some sort of image there. Next thing you know, it'll be a bunch of gobbledygook. They know they got the tools here to work it, but they don't have the experience to design even with this tool. Okay, by default, anybody, let's just say I'm a Divi user, right? And someone came to me and they said, "Listen, Dave, I got a website on Weebly and it looks atrocious. Can you fix it up?" I most certainly could, right? The effort for me to clean up this Weebly website would be hardly nothing at all. I mean, I'll still do it, but it wouldn't be to this level. I guess I could do it to this level. It will take a little bit longer, but we don't need to get to that level. But the point is, um, people will say, well, if you got tools like Weebly, how do you compete in this world? You, Weebly or tools like Weebly are designed for people who has a super low budget. Okay, um, let's just say they are not McDonald's and they're just starting out, so they're just going to put up a quick website that says that we're a burger joint. So they got all these foods and stuff over here. Then after a while, their business picks up. Then they may want to say, you know what, I need a website to reflect, and I'm willing to pay for it. Okay, Zionport is here to help. Okay, we are going to get you this truly stunning website, as long as you pay us, right? And then we divvy it up, which is what we like to. That's why I like the word divvy. Okay. Again, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like it, and share it. Also, don't forget to join us on Discord. So anyways, let's go back to why I'm telling you all this. For one, troubleshooting is part of development work. Okay, you got to be able to troubleshoot, and if you're learning on your own, troubleshooting is going to be one of those things it's just going to be trouble, and you got to shoot your way through it. And I'm very poor at it, especially in new things. But that's all. That's the whole point. Now I am getting into Python because I like to learn it, and so I like to tinker. And while my computer is working, over here, I am working elsewhere. So, oh, that's moving pretty quick now. At least that niche. Now, don't forget, even if you show up, please say hello. I'd like to hear from you. All right, so W3 schools is great for taking your time to learn everything you want to know. However, it still doesn't beat a teacher. I have a lot of YouTube. I have a YouTube playlist for Python specifically. Now, I'm not here to teach you Python because I can't teach you Python. I don't know it. But in a lot of my streams, you'll be watching me learn the whole thing, or learn as I go along. And maybe you'll learn right along with me. So if you're saying, well, he's not an expert at all in this thing. I'm not claiming to be an expert. That being said, I'm not even going to try to claim to be an expert at the end of the day. I'm just trying to be the guy that wants to do something for himself without having to hire a developer just to make something, just to make a light switch. You know what I mean? You don't have to do all that stuff. You could do a lot of stuff on your own. And this is the whole point of the Del Fuego, is that you obtain knowledge so that you could do your life the way you see fit. And maybe you say, well, I got into Python because I watched this, and then I had a cool idea. What if I build something like such and such, and it helps with our life for whatever reason, and then make a business out of it. You could do that too. That's the whole point. So what I'm going over is how I become a ninja without learning to be a ninja. Okay, so for an example here, um, let's just copy this. One of the things I do is I copy, especially from the examples, and then I edit it later because I try to figure out what part of this process is this referring to. Okay, so let's go here. Oops. As you can see, I've already been tinkering with it. All right. So if I were to run it, save. Oops, I'm sorry. Save. I'm gonna control it, and then hit the run, or hit F5, and then there we go. Or I could just say, now that I know that could happen, then I could go like this. Now, what if I were to run it before I save it? If you see this asterisk there, typically it means that it's not saved. But watch what happens. It says the source must be saved. Is it okay to save? Sure. Right. 5 is greater than 2. Now let's watch this error real quick. Let's see what the error is. Then let's run it. Okay. Oh no, and then expecting an index block. Now, unfortunately, it told me where, and so I could take care of that. Now, they say you could do a space, which is fine, but I like to do a full tab. That's just me. And then boom, I'm done. Right? Then I can run the same module. 5 is greater than 2. Now, I would have never guessed it that I needed to indent it. If I started this over, and I would have never knew that I had to indent that. Okay, I it's just one of those things. Now, I struggle with dyslexia, and so that means I have to read and then I have to try to comprehend a lot of what I'm reading. It's not that I'm poor at reading; I can read fine. It's just now I got to figure out what's being told to me, oftentimes than not. And so let's do variables real quick. So let's what would this example look like? Okay, good. So watch this. So here's how I like to learn. So take notice I took a these are two variables, y equals whatever's after the equal sign, that's what it is. X equals 5. Okay. Then we could also say this. If x, yeah, is greater than 2, drop it down and let's say, whoops, now this is where I wish I had copied something. We'll just say that. Right? And then we could also print now I guess it doesn't have to matter. If it's, I don't think it matters if it's a space there or not. Let's find out. But, so if 5 is greater than 2, then print greater. And if, then print the number 5 and then print the number, or print what it says y. Okay, save. Run. I can fix that. Now this is how I fix it. Oh, come on. I gotta wait for my VNC to kick in. Whenever I try to, but this is all part of the learning process, right? Now that I thought I could type it in, I'm at an impasse when it told me that I did it all wrong. Now, where did I go wrong? Oh, I forgot a colon. Save. And then run. There it goes. I think it's supposed to be else if x is, oops, I'm sorry, less than 2, then we're going to print zonk. Boom. Okay, yes, I watch Let's make a deal. And obviously the 5, or I'm sorry, the Y didn't have to be space. So either way, makes no difference. Run. Let me see if it's if else. No. Is it just else? Let's find out. I might be missing it. Now I'm going to go back over here to if else. Okay. Ah, gotcha. So here we are here. Okay, so let's do this. Take this off, and we'll say else if it's 2 or 1, then it's a zonk. Oops. All right, great. That's great. Oh, come on now. All right, now let's run. Great. Let's do it one more time, and let's use 1. Great. There you go. So this is us learning, right? Well, it's being silly with it, right? Because sometimes, like, okay, I don't know why it was breaking, because I'm not learning how to write properly, all right? I have to know, I have to know this stuff. Print else or elif, right? This is a lot of stuff to take in. Generally speaking, we have to take it all in. I mean, we have to figure it all out. And yes, I could sit on and for HTML, I had to sit on HTML, or I had to sit on this website a lot just to figure out how to do everything for building a simple website. And I remember doing that, and then I'm like, I don't want to do that with um, Python. There has to be another way, and there's another way to learn Python without this aggravation, and yet still learn Python with this type of setup. Okay, one of the tools I like to use is called, now, if you don't know this by now, there should be a lot of maker spaces cropping up, at least hopefully in your city as well. If not, you're going to want one. 1 second. Um, Basically, it's a center for children to learn engineering skills. I'm part of one, kind of. And again, as you can see, I know nothing about Python, but because it's so fresh, um, I could just say I know about Python, and they're like, "Good, you're hired." And what's funny too on my YouTube as I'm looking for videos, Python or learning Python, I'm also getting nature videos like Python in the wild or Python this and stuff like that. It's very funny because Python is that situation. Um, which is also going to. I also want to show you a new portion in my life here that I will be sharing with you guys. Um, because engineering is something I want to do because it's part of what I want to learn. Because it's all part of tinkering. Tinkering, Tinker, right? It just means you're just fiddling around with stuff. You're not trying to be be the people that make Ring Central, right? However, you can learn the stuff that make Ring Central work. The stuff that are in your car, all that stuff. Once I got into all this, and I saw this on a Microsoft presentation that really sparked me. I learned Python 10 years ago. Not all of it, but I learned a lot of it. And then 10 years ago, I got into web design because I thought Python wasn't going to get me anywhere. So I switched gears, and man, I wish I'd have stuck with Python. I would have been further along in life. I think I would have at least. I'm glad I learned SEO and stuff because it's necessary now. That being said, let me show you what I'm up to lately. How do I want to do this? Let me think, you guys. Oh, let me try something else too. I had to look for something that could make my life a little bit more easier. And I can't find what I'm looking for. I'm going to have to place an order or something. Oh, found something. One second, everybody. So, again, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to join the um, don't forget to join the Discord channel. You would be a welcome addition. To the channel and help propel the ship forward. All right, and if you just showed up, please drop in a line, say hello or something. All right, so let me show you my work desk for tinkering. Okay, good. I just want to make sure that everything is in working order before I go forward. So I probably need to have this up so I could see what I'm trying to show you. Um, to start off with, I've made mention in the past the introduction here. Actually, let me go ahead and set up something else too off of the main tower. I meant to set up a VNC client, believe it or not. Let me go ahead and get that set up over here really quick, but enjoy those little dots there. Bear with me, please. Come on. Actually, I might not need this, but we'll see. Yeah, I might not need this now. Okay, so I'm probably showing you guys something for nothing. Anyways, this is a Raspberry Pi. Now, I remember in the co-office space, I told a lady, or her son was. Whenever I say the word tinkering, it, and it could be done in a the way I want to explain this is engineering without having to go to school, unless you want to go to school. It's engineering without having to um, you can learn it yourself. You really can. And no, you should still get your school so you get your papers that says you know what you're doing. However, this is that process. Um, I was telling a lady at the so back to the story of the lady at the co-office space. Her son, um, African American as well, which is essential because there's not enough African Americans um, in this space. Okay, um, I was with a lady who she had this coalition of getting girls into engineering, which is great because she wanted girls to know that they don't have to grow up to be nurses only. They don't have to grow up to be just some kind of cook or some kind of something that women only jobs. But engineering is actually a skill that even they could have. So she has this mission to do that. And at the same token, in the back of her mind, because this is an African American woman, she also wants to get African Americans involved because there's not enough African Americans in the engineering, science, technology, and mathematical engineering workforce. A lot of black kids are trying to become athletes more times than not, right? And I got a couple of cousins right now who are in school in some type of some athletic academic academy kind of thing, where they're into sports because they think that's what the world is all about. It's just sports. There's more to them. There's more for them than that. And so this lady, I told her, I said, listen, all your son needs is a Raspberry Pi, and he could go, and he could learn all that he wants to know before he hits college. And she says a Raspberry Pi. And then she goes, what's that? So that's a motherboard that teaches or that helps you out with life. Well, what does he do? It's what he wants to do with it. And in a realm of children, I always say this is nothing more than kids playing with Legos, right? If you ever play with Legos, you're building up a world, and then your imagination takes over, right? Your world, and then your imagination is driving those Lego pieces to do what they're supposed to do, right? So if anybody built a house out of Legos, you know why? Because you're engineering some type of structure, right? Um, if you're building park out of Legos, whatever the case may be, or a farmstead out of Legos, right? This is essentially the same thing. You're taking digital Legos and making something out of it. So this is called a Raspberry Pi, and it's a small computer, Raspberry Pi 3. There's a 4 coming out, if it's not out already. And this Raspberry Pi 3 comes with a quad-core processor. Okay, that is mind blowing. Okay, now I want to show you something else too. I wasn't going to do this, but I got to show you the size of this thing. Because it's on a camera, you might not be able to see the size very well. So there's nothing relational to it. Okay. But if you ever been to a gas station and you saw this, Altoids. We've all had, now it's full of Altoids right now. I'll go get one. Right? All Altoids. Curiously strong mints. And these things took me a while to appreciate these mints. Now you're going to be hearing me chew on these things while we're talking. It's probably good for the lungs. My nose is going to start running because this is some strong peppermint stuff. But here's this. Look at that. Literally the same size as this Raspberry Pi could fit inside of this Altoid box. And if I had some tools, I could slice this open, right? Make a deal so that it could be a carrying case. In fact, you could actually buy a case that looks like an Altoids box. Well, what does this mean? Why does this even matter? Well, let me show you something else. I couldn't tell you the size of this device, but it's a typical cell phone. It's a Motorola. And let me show you this. It's smaller than a Motorola. Now, it's a little bit thicker, only because I got that back plate on it. If you want to know what for, it's so I can have a touchscreen TV. This is about 7 inches. So this is about a 5-inch screen. This is about 7 inches total, give or take. All right. So you got a device, a computer, right? And this is actually a touchscreen screen. I know you can see that. It's literally a touch screen. It's a touchscreen screen. Okay. And so this is a lot of what our world is built off of. During this stream, Google and Apple came out with the latest cell phones. Samsung Note 10, which is way bigger than this, and the Apple 11, I think it is. built off of chipsets that are around this size. And they are full of little interesting gadgets, right? Here goes a sound port. This is your video, right? Um, Inside of here, I couldn't find it yet. I don't know if I can find it. But inside of here is your Wi-Fi, because this is Wi-Fi enabled device. Right here also is your SD card. This is 32 gigabyte. Yeah, gigabyte. 16 gigabyte. Sorry. Your typical. And how many cell phones? You know, a lot of cell phones have an SD card on it, right? Usually they extend the memory range. But that's that. There's more that I need to show you. In this box, I had bought this a long time ago. Whoops. Let me dismantle it a bit. You might not be able to see it. It's called an Arduino board. In this case, it's called an Arduino Uno. Let me see if I could go ahead and dismantle it really quick for us. I may not want to be honest. Actually, I do want to. I want to take the top off. So you could go to Amazon, or you could actually go to, I actually bought this off of Walmart for about $3. And it comes with a kit of stuff. Okay. You could actually go to, if you really want to buy this on a real cheap level, go to Facebook Marketplace. Now, I should have kept my mouth shut about that one, so I could affiliate myself with Walmart and Amazon. But it doesn't matter. Now, Microsoft says that they're not trying to build everything, but what they want to build. I'm a Microsoft fanboy, so I'll follow everything that they do, or a lot of things that they do, really. And Satya's statement was, we're not trying to build the world, we're trying to give others the tools to build the world. In other words, they want to make sure that you have what it takes to make it work right. Okay? Obviously, they're big on education. Now, this thing is pretty small. And the way these tools work typically is with what's called a prototype. This is all called prototyping. All right. Let me just go ahead and show you the functionality of everything that I'm doing. This is called a breadboard. I'm going to figure out a way to make this screen better for us, but I think there's enough here to make sense of what's going on. So this is a breadboard. Essentially, I just dropped something, which is typical of everything that you build. So if you got a workbench, you know how there are some guys who has a workbench and they're to build hot rods, motorcycles, whatever the case may be. But you're a tinkerer. You could build whatever you want. Being an engineer is about building the world the way you want it built. Now, oftentimes I watch it on so there you go, right? So essentially, if I wanted to do this right, I would take, um, I could put this back. I would take, um, let's see, let's make this 13. I could put that here, like so. Okay, and then I program this board. Essentially, I got to put a few more devices in there, some resistors and stuff. But here are some of the things you could get with the kit. You get this little display. Now, I'm not going to show you everything, but I'm going to show you a lot of things that you could get. You get these numbers. Some extra numbers to go along with that. This is a variable device. Essentially, the way this works is this is how you I don't know, I'm gonna break it on TV here. That Mentos is gone, or whatever it is. I just had the Maltoids. So I put it in there, and this is your variance, right? Your variance meter. It could be for volume, it could be for light control, whatever. You'll get a whole bunch of these things. Wires. You gotta have wires, otherwise you're not connecting anything. I'm trying to see if there's anything in this box that I might be missing. A lot of these different lights. There goes a red, another red one. Here goes a green one. And here is a blue one. Let me see what else I can find real quick. This is, I don't know what that is, but it's a good start. That's a button. That's a button. And that's a red cap for the button. This is a yellow cap for the button. Now I bought this spool of wire and this spool of wire individually. Let me see, what else do I got here? Some capacitors and a buzzer inside that little package. Now I plan on extending this process. It just escaped me what that was. I'll tell you what it is. It's oh man, it just escaped me. Anyhow, and then obviously what you're going to need are a bunch of resistors. This is for if you really want to tinker with your world. Now, let's say for instance, this is a lot. because now you got to figure out a way to put some of this together. Um, but let's say you figure out something like, well, because of this or that, stuff can happen, right? Um, Essentially, what you're doing is with the uh, breadboard and the history behind why it's called the breadboard. I'm not going to get into that, but it's out there for us to know. Um, Essentially, you're wired in a certain way, but then you could take a picture of this or whatever the case may be, and there are people who will take your prototype and make a nice little circuit board out of it, right? And then you got to build up, and that's how you build your prototype. Now, there are other tools out there, and this is more, it seems more kiddish, but it still has a lot of practical applications, which is, let me see if I can show you this. Which is this one, another Arduino. They call this a semi-prototype, or a semi-prototyping tool, or a solderless prototyping tool, because it uses connectors for you to read the world. Okay, you'll use the connectors to help you figure out what the world is trying to say. So this is a light sensor right there, built into it, and it's nothing. And so two Arduinos. I'm sorry. Let me just do this. You got two Arduinos, and essentially, it took me a while to figure out what's the difference between the two. Between an Arduino and a motherboard. I'm sorry, in a Raspberry Pi. Because the question is, I want to engineer something, and which prototyping board should I use? Do I get a Raspberry Pi, or do I use a Arduino board? Because when you do your research, you're going to find out there are two types of things out there, Arduino and a Pi. And the differences are, one is to see these two as a switch, and to see this as a normal computer. Okay, the way um the way I would facilitate the information here is, while this is doing what it's supposed to do, this computer is paying attention to this, and it could take notes. Okay, so think about this guy doing what it's supposed to do, kind of like athletes, right? An athlete is going to run up and down the field. He's going to throw the ball. He's going to do whatever he's supposed to do. How many steps is he taking? Right? Obviously, the software, you could program the software to do a lot of that computational stuff, right? But there's a term out there called machine learning, and there's another term out there called AI, artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence and machine learning would figure out how to best use these switches to their advantage. Okay, and this is where the Raspberry Pi comes in. Raspberry Pi is great for machine learning. It's great for AI stuff. This is typically your the best way I could describe this. This is your smart light switch. Okay. The best way I could explain this, see, this is a Bluetooth chip adapter right there. But let's say it's Wi-Fi. I could get a Wi-Fi chip here. Oh, this is I should say what this is. This is from MakeBlock. I'll share the links to these things. And so you could add more stuff to it. I eventually want to buy more stuff to make this thing go a lot further. But what I'm trying to get at is, let's say this is your Wi-Fi adapter, and if I had a microphone, this then becomes my uh, my Google Home. This becomes my thermostat. This becomes my my Amazon Echo. Well, maybe not that big, but you get the idea. And the reason why these are slightly bigger is because these are all prototyping stuff. Okay, meaning that you can use smaller chipboards for this, and to make it all work. Now, essentially, this M block that I bought from Barnes and Noble, it's about $100. I wish I never bought it for that much, because now I could get it cheaper. Facebook people. There are people willing to get rid of it. But here's some things that comes with it. As I made mention, one moment. I had to get this and some water. All right, so essentially, it's supposed to be a small robot maker, right? Emma Block is a robot manufacturing facility. So you get this little casing. However, when you go to the website, you realize they have a lot of stuff that you could buy to extend all this, right, without having a solder. And this is what I call a semi-prototyping tool. So if you will, for an example, let's assume that without the wheels, I could take the wheels off if I wanted to, but I don't want to spend the time here doing all this stuff. One of the tools, or one of the components that it gives you, this is called a line follower, which essentially looks for white and black colors. Okay, so if it was on this table, it would identify it as black, right, because it's dark. Now on the website, they got a color follower, right, which would say, which would then identify pretty much all the other colors in the rainbow. Pretty much. This is called an ultrasonic sensor. Essentially what it is, it's a range detector. If you ever have a smart car, okay, this is pretty much the thing that's built into smart cars everywhere, right? This thing goes out and says, okay, once you get too close, do something else, right? If you remember, we just programmed in Python, if is greater than 2, if blank is greater than 2, then say greater. If it's less than 2, say zonk, right? And if zonk is played out, stop, right? That's how our world is essentially made up, right? Um, our cell phones come with a lot of sensors in it already. That stuff like this, like I got a light sensor here, um, stuff like that. Now, how do you program this stuff? Guess what? Simple as Python. Yeah, Python is one of the tools or one of the programming languages to make all this stuff sing. It's one of those things, it's just mind blowing when you think about all the stuff that you can do that you didn't know you had access to in the first place, right? When Microsoft showed me the ideas of how they're trying to train the children, which is great, but I want to know too. So I said to myself, why not learn as a child learns? Obviously, they'll pick it up faster, granted, but I want to learn it too because I want to develop my own world. I want my world to do what I want it to do, right? Maybe I want to make my own Ring Central doorbell, right? Meaning when I see somebody come within 1 foot of my door, this would transmit to a Twilio, right? And then it'll text message me, right? Stuff like that. But does learning Python have to be so overwhelming? And it's not overwhelming. It's just there's a lot to know. Okay, so let me stop there, and let me show you some programming methodologies that I use when I'm learning. Okay, and again, the normal consensus is doing it the way I'm doing it is not the right way. But my thing is figure out what your B is, right? And to go from A to B, it's going to take some steps. Okay, I don't know how many steps. It may take you 1 step. It may take you 2 steps or 3. How long does it take you to get to B? It doesn't matter as long as you got there, right? Um, it's kind of like with somebody if I was going to go from here to Los Angeles, well, I would just say let's say Birmingham, which is 12 hours, which is a 12-hour drive south of me. I could drive. I could take the bus. I could take a train, or I could take a plane. Um, I'm not sure why I would do this, but I could even take a boat. Just head west, get onto a ferry, I guess, and then head south. If they do that on Mississippi, I don't know if they do or not, but I don't know. And then again, I don't know why I would. Um, then the question is, what's the best route? Do I take a plane? Do I drive? Do I take a train? Do I take a bus? And then there's a lot of pros and cons for all of it, right? If I'm driving, I get to sightsee. I get to drive through the Bourne, Illinois state because it's just flat. If you ever drove through Illinois, there's nothing to look at, nothing to look at, and all right. That said, taking a plane could be what's the word I'm looking for? Quicker, 90 minutes versus 1 hour, 12 hours. Sure. Um, the way car efficiency is, again, this is where the Raspberry Pi comes into place because there's a computer in your car that will tell which of the Arduino switches, if you will, If I was to build a car that way, that's the way it is. You got a Raspberry Pi, that's the brain, and then it has to figure out what switch to turn on and off, right? Or monitor which switch is going on, that kind of thing. So the Raspberry Pi is the brain. The Arduino. We'll play with it some more. I know I will. Um, so let's make programming easier. One of my favorite resources is called Trinket. And we are going to build something out of Trinket. What's the word? So let's do something new. They have this thing called blocks. Ooh, what does that mean? I'm about to show you. We get to program using drag and drop. Let's do the variable again. We are going to say x, and then we are also going to set y. Alright, we are going to set x to those numbers 5, and then we are going to set the variable y to something else. What should it be? How about this? My world is y, and let's do one more variable, z, x, y, z. All right. And then for this one, bring out my inner, what should I call it? End game. My inner Avenger, if you will. So that's fine and dandy, right? Now, we did say let's print from the text. I'm actually going to print a few more times. Print or duplicate a couple more times. And all I'm doing is adding x, y. I could have just did it the other way. Z. Let me show you what I mean by that. I don't know why I did it just to do this, but here we go. Duplicate. Right? Sometimes it just works smarter. Alright, so then when I print, watch what's going to happen. Or when I run it, 5, my world, end game. Okay, just like it should be. Well, that's a little bit too easy. But how do I know it's Python? When I view the code, it has written all of it in Python already. So now let me go over here and copy it to my, oops, I'm sorry. Let me get this out of here. And paste, save, and run. So it's all the same thing, right? These are all the variables. Let me see something if there's a comment. Okay. So take notice how it does the hashtag there. Now it's not showing up because it's not supposed to. However, I could do the hashtag here too. Um, all the variables here. All right, great, wonderful. Now, let's assume I wanted to make a question out of these variables. So we're going to make the A team variable. So we're going to make a variable called A. Oops, I'm sorry. I'm going to call this the letter A. It could be whatever you want, really. The namification of your variables are going to be essential. I'm going to bring it down there. And instead of saying 2, we are going to ask the question of going to the text and prompt for text. What's your name? Okay. And then I believe it is text print A. So now let's run it again. There you go. Now watch this. I am going to do the letter B, and the B is now we're going to try to do those variables of if greater than a number. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so the number 6. Let's use that for an example as our standard. Okay. So this is where this is called a logic. If blank is, right? So let me just drop this down a little bit. One second. Thank you for your patience. I had to check on a family member. So if then we're going to go to the logic again. Here we are. We're going to attach it. Now take notice how I could attach it. This is making it so much easier because I can't attach it if I can't if I can't use it in that format. Does that make sense? So let me see if I could do this. If let's go down there with it. Oh, I guess I could. Well, it obviously it's giving me an error. All right, fine. But I'm not going to be able to use this. I'll be right back once again. Forgive me. All right, I'm back. So, the life of working from home is you check on family members while you're at home. Okay, so, all right. So I'm going to attach this equals, or actually it's going to be, if it's greater than 6, I'm going to put in a number. Come on. Six. And then we'll make a variable, call it the letter B. Excuse me, one more time. Again, I apologize. So if B is greater than 6, so what I'm going to do here is change this to B, change this to B, and then drop that there. All right. So number. Pick a number 1 through 10. Whoops. All right. I know you can't see it. So let's play. We're going to pick 9. All right. So, oh yeah, I'm supposed to do it this way. I did exactly what I was supposed to do. So let me also say 1 through 9 because 10 is one of those numbers. 1 through 9. And let's run it again. All right. Well, I'm supposed to do a bigger number. All right, but as you can see, I did the number 5, and I was like, well, Dave, it's not all that impressive, right? However, here's what we'll do. If, else, if, and then else. Maybe not that. How about 2 else ifs? We'll do it that way. Okay, so actually I'm gonna keep this end game is y, And then my world is this is what it's going to be. And then it's going to be the end game. So Y is my world, and Z is the end game. Actually, that's not the right way to go. Put that there. Oops. Actually, let's do this. Add the text. That's all, folks. So I hope you're getting the idea of all the things that you can do, right? This world is for anybody that wants it, right? And so that's a great number. So we got to go back to the logics here. I'm going to duplicate that because I want to say less than. I don't know why 6 is being used. Oh no. 3 6s in a row are all going to burn. No, I'm just kidding. So, so if B, duplicate B, alright, so here's the thing. I am going to do something with this in a minute, but only because I don't want to lose it. So let's run, pick a number 1 through 9, let's just say 4, end game, because it's less than 6, it's the end game. So let's run it again. Let's do 6. That's my world. That's all, folks. And then one more time, we'll go to number 9. That's a great number. So what if we wanted to count what if we wanted to count our name? Okay, so let's do that. In other words, we'll count how many letters are in our name. We'll figure that out. Let me see. What we need is All right. So it's going to ask me for my, if I do it right, it's going to ask me for my name. Oops. It's going to ask me for my name. And then if the length of X is greater than 6, write this. If it equals 6, write that. And if it's less than 6, write this. Okay. So let's run it. My name is David. And game. That's all, folks. That's pretty cool, right? I mean, now let's go ahead and copy everything to our thing over here, right? And then once we run it, we should get the same thing. What's let's run it again. Let's try a bigger number, a bigger name. Let's try the word captain. Right? And I want you to understand that you can do this however you feel like doing it. I could have did it that way. I could have downloaded this and then got the same thing, create Python trinket. Oh, right. What I wanted to also show you too is there is actually an interpreter here built into this website. Now, it's good and bad only because you can only go so far. Like for instance, here are these modules. Modules are things that you could well, the way Python works is modules are like they have these libraries that you import, right? Well, there's only so much you can import here. But the thing with Python is there's a lot of libraries. There's a lot of things that you can bring in that is it's just a lot. Um, I'm not sure the right way to explain it. But when you import, you're importing a whole set of things that your Python is able to run and execute. So let's learn. So let's go ahead and program our Arduino board and our Raspberry Pi. So all proof of concepts. Um, in future videos, I may not be able to do full-on tutorials because I'm just like I have to figure it out first, right? Now, if in the future I figure something out, and you're like, Dave, how did you do that XYZ thing? Okay, I'll show you, right? So let's go ahead and clean this up a bit. Let's move this out of the way. Let's get all we can or all that's necessary inside of here. I might leave out 3 lights and 3. I might leave out a lot of this stuff because I never know how I want to tinker with it once I'm done with it. So I'm not going to need, well, I'll use this for demonstration purposes, but I can get rid of this. I can get rid of this. But once you see it in action, I think you'll love it. Especially once you see how easy it is. I have another set of cousins. I have another cousin. um, he's at one of those tender ages, right? He's impressionable, and these are one of those things. It's not that I'm trying to force it on the folks or anything like that. It's just the opportunity of life is not just becoming the best basketball player. You can engineer your whole world, and then you could influence the whole world, right? Um, so there's a few things you should know. One, in order for these things to power on a Python and a Arduino board, okay, excuse me, you kind of need like a printer cable, right? And so you got to have this type of an ending to it. We'll just put it in like so. Snaps into place. I got one more. Oops. Obviously, you could go to Amazon. Sometimes you're spending more on shipping than is the actual product. So it's one of those things that when I buy a bunch of little stuff, and I get the free shipping. So when I'm ready to buy something, it's a whole bunch of little stuff. They usually come in at the same time. So there's that. For the Raspberry Pi, however, now I wish I never took that top off. You use a cord like your um, one second. This is the wrong cord. I'll go get the right one. Okay. Okay. So all you need is a connector like a cell phone connector. And actually, let me do this while I'm sitting here. Let me go ahead and make that top. Well, do I want to do it that way? Well, I'm not going to do it. And then you got a typical cell phone connector, like so. And then you power it up. Or then it becomes powered up. Alright, there's no way for me to know if it's powered up or not. I guess the green light is there. Now I could unplug it too. But let me show you the screen. It took me a while to put this together. I bought this off of Amazon. And the best way to figure out the way it works is you line up the HDMI ports, and that's your way of putting it into the screen. Like so. And then you just add your connectors. Alright. Now let's also power this up. So I'm going to show you the powered up version. You may not be able to see it on screen very well. There's the boot mode. I have no clue where my stylus went to. Okay. Now here's what I want to do. Here goes a cord right here. I'll set this up later. So I'm going to fully close. You haven't gotten into the tinker until you found a box that you can stuff all you want in there, and then you figure out a way to make it close. Okay. That's the rule of all life. Okay. So typically what I like to do is excuse me. You're not going to need the screen anymore, no way, because I will adopt it. Well, you still might need it, but we're going to go ahead and plug in the Arduino for that, and then the Raspberry Pi. I'm sorry, the Arduino Uno for this over here. So now they're booted up. Now typically, I don't have to worry about this because I could just, there's a switch that goes with it, on and off, right? Now, let's get these two things hooked up. In fact, let me do something else really quick once again. I'm sorry for the delay. don't know if I ever. Oh, great. Oh well, I can't tell now. Anyways, let's move over to Raspberry Pi. There we go. Okay. I don't know how well I was being heard, to be honest. Sorry, guys, if I ruined the entire experience here. Um, Now I'm curious. How do I have this going? Oh yeah. So let me boot up my Raspberry Pi. I mean, I booted it up already, but let me get the VNC for it. Now I'm going to connect wirelessly to it, obviously. Oh, let me set this up. I must have moved something out of there. So you're going to get a dark screen right now. There we go. Let me see if I can adjust this here window. I'm working on a scale. Nope, back to 75%. All right. So let's open up the web browser. We're going to use a special tool that's all Python. Now you can actually download this to your computer. You don't necessarily need a Raspberry Pi for this either. So it's going to take a while because it's a Wi-Fi connection. I guess I could come with the LAN cable, but it's one of those things I just like, forget it. What does the Wi-Fi look like, to be honest? Looks pretty decent. What's taking you all day, I don't know. It's freezing up for some reason. It's just too much computer for the computer. So these are more blocks. Now I wish the computer was closer. Maybe it can be. Let me see how far I need to go. Bear with me just a second, everybody. Yet again. Okay, as the old adage goes, where there's a will, there's a way. Now, I don't know how well you can see this. Whoops. All right. Now, as long as I can keep it out of the way. Oops. Okay. You're literally not making much sense. But I might have an idea for you still. Yet again, wow. One thing after another. All right. Let me close on the Raspberry Pi. So now I'm on the tower. And let me connect you guys to that. And back to the tower. And what I'm trying to do here is give you guys some kind of look at both this. I don't know how else better to do this. So the red light and the green light are indicators that they are working. Okay, so let's go straight to the stream. Actually, what I want to do is let me just set up another light here. Let me just go here and do full screen like so. All right, now I am also in the process of setting up these transitions. Okay. That should do the trick, I think. We'll work with this for a while. Okay, so let's go back over here and shrink this. So why am I showing you this? It looks kiddish, but this is an IDE, believe it or not. We're going to call this Cool Console. Okay, I can take this off. It's a sprite. Now why am I showing you this? Because it's still a Python in there. How do we know it's a Python? Well, always do the hello world. If something like if they claim it to be a Python and then you start to do the simple Python print hello world and it doesn't work, then it's safe to say it's not Python. So I'm going to run, or do I got to save it first? Oh, gravy. Oops. All right, save. Okay, there it is down there. Let me say, switch this up a bit. Whoops. Run. Okay. All right. So you can still hard code into there if you want to. So blocks. We're going to go to devices. And then we're going to hit the Cody thing and delete that. These are among the many things that you get from MakeBlock. Let me go there real quick, just so you can see it. I don't care about that trinket. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Accept. Hardware. Let's see what they've done differently this time. It looks like they've done a lot of things differently. Now that's brand new. I ain't never seen this before. M-Tiny. Early childhood robot. Its tap pen controller is a coding tool that exercises children logical thinking and problem solving abilities. It brings computer programming into a child's real life. So it looks like they got puzzles. I'm gonna go ahead and play it just as yeah. Hold on, keep playing. You see how it's a start and then it's the end or puzzle map there? He's hard coding. That's a pretty cool project. Oh, what is this? A laser box. Wow. A laser cutter. And no, they're cutting acrylic. That's acrylic glass, I believe that is. See, I don't know why they gear this towards. See, they're making a cool iPhone case. They're gearing this towards children. And I'm not a parent, but if I wasn't a parent, I don't know if I want my child to have a laser printer. Anyways, so here is as I was making mention before, maker spaces. Highly necessary structural parts are like the frames. These are like the all the components, electronic modules. There, transmission motors. If you're building some sort of there's a guy who makes a smart garden, where it's a garden that you put in your house, and then the device grows as the plants grow. Right. Um, Now this is what I need. So there's that. Now this is a competition, right? Believe it or not, it's very interesting what kids could come up with, and this is what it's geared towards. It's geared to get children to think of solving the world. But at the same token, there's a kid in me because when I was a child, this is what I would have wanted. This is exactly what I was wanting, and so there's an inner child in me that comes out when I see this. So, anyways, you get the idea. Let me go back to the hardware real quick. Um, I'm missing it, people. There's a line follower. Now, these aren't the only robots you can build. There are other robot products out there. There's a great commercial from a Microsoft commercial about a guy who made the Sphero robot, and you're programming it the same way, and also with Python. So I don't know how else to find all these other things, but I might have to go to yeah, that's fine. I might have to go to Amazon for a lot of this stuff because it's not showing up. Anyways, so let's make something really quick. first thing you could do is with your so I got an Arduino board, an Arduino device, and I am going to get the library for that. And I have this one. Let me get that too. And so let me get this. Alright, so that's the Arduino Uno. And actually, let's give each of these things a face. Kind of. Let's see. Almost wish I never got rid of that panda. No. Okay. Let's assume Arduino is pink. And we'll make the M block. Oh yeah, cool. We'll make the M block blue. Same difference, right? But it's blue. And we will move that over here like so. And the Arduino over here like so. So instead of calling this M block, and instead of calling this Arduino, let's give you some cool names already. I don't know. I know, we'll call you we'll call this one Milo. And we'll call this one Adra. Okay. I guess you gotta apologize just in case your name is either Milo or Adra as you're watching this. So, costumes. Left. Adra 1. Left. Adra 2. Left. Adra 3. Animation, right? Well, forget it. Yeah, we'll do it that way. Let's go over here to Milo. In other words, it's left facing. And then what I want to do is duplicate that and then flip. Okay. So anywho, so we're going over here because now we can literally interact with our project. Now there's a lot of things we can do too. Let's start off with something smaller with these sprites. I want their sizes to be a little bit less than what they are. If it's 125, let's drop 50 off of that. See where we are. Well, let's go 25. Let's go to 50 with it. Oh no. Oh, I'm sorry. Wrong thing. Let's bring this to 50. Okay, let's increase it to 60. That's good. Same thing with Milo over here. Bring it to 60 because it's a small, each in their own area. Should there be a background? Let's see what we got for backgrounds. Well, it makes sense that we should be in space almost, but let's go outdoors with it. What could we do? Perfection is my enemy. In this case, it's very much so. Let's go with this basketball court. Or blue sky, rather. Keep them on the same plane level. Okay, great. Um, so whenever Arduino does something, she's going to do something. Now we could extend all of this. So actually, I'm going to go ahead and save it. Oops. I accidentally checked on our, look at that, 3% finished. Anyways, extensions. Here are all the cool things that you get. We'll get it. Normally I would want this, but I'm not going to get it. This is for if you have a microphone, you can learn to give it speech. But I think we got enough stuff here. All right. So the way this works is actually I'm going to need another sprite. And we'll include this. A red button up here. Let's add another one. There's my computer working over. Gravy. There's another button. Let's go with that one. Let's go over here with it. And I want to try to get as many buttons as I possibly can. And this is a good idea of having already some idea of your user interface. I'm going to go with this one. Alright, so watch this trick. So button, we would call this gray button, and we'll hide it right now. And we'll call this and then also hide it. Alright, so now when this is clicked, all the things is going to be ready to go. Let's actually give this something else too. And then hide it. So looks is going to be actually, yeah. Looks is going to be show. So observe. Now we're not going to unsee it. Now, so let's see here. So when this sprite is clicked, I want you to hide it. So now that we're going to play it, we're going to hide it. So let's stop. So play and then hide. Simple. Also, now let's say broadcast message. We're going to call it red clicker. Okay, and so now I'm going to go to Adra. When I receive the message red clicker, then we're going to say something. Whoops. Okay. So When the red button is clicked, it's not only is it going to hide, but then it's going to tell her to say something. So here we go. And in 2 seconds, you're going to say something else. Now, what we're going to do is, see, because now you're throwing out events. These are kind of like variables and stuff, but it's events. So we're going to broadcast something else. Red. Our demo. And so what we're going to do is, I'm going to go to the devices of the Arduino board. And when the Arduino Uno starts up, this is where we go for a lot of other stuff. Sensors. Reset timer. Okay. I know I had to add it to these two. Upload mode. This is kind of cool. I got some extra stuff. A whole bunch of stuff. Well, I think I got the gist of all I needed. Let's go down all over here. Yeah, got the gist of all I needed. Cancel. I need this upload mode. And let's turn off that red light. Let's figure that out. Do I got the right Arduino on here? Thought I might. This is Arduino C. Yeah, I got the right one. Okay, let's close it out. I've got to figure this all out. Yeah, let me go ahead and connect that. So it's connected. And then let's also connect this to. Yeah, update firmware. Let me show you what that might be looking like. Let me get some extensions for you. Let's get that. I really want to get these color sensors. Light sound. Light sound. Okay, we're done. Oh, let me do this. So I'm turning that on. What I might have to do, I'm about to find a problem. Arduinos, try not to panic. One of you got the longest cord. I believe it's you. Actually, let me do it this way, since you want to be cool with it. So you can keep it out of my hair. I appreciate you for being cooperative for a change, computer. All right. There we go. We're updating the firmware. Sometimes you got to do that stuff. Let's do what you asked. Turn it off. Let me put the cover on it. That looks more better. So it's assuming I got wheels, so I don't have to worry about that. Onboard light sensitivity. That's a red blue light. I mean, so let me show you what that looks like. Okay. So when I get that, is that what I was missing over here too? I can't say for sure. Um, oh yeah. Well, let me do this. I'll make the variable. And then we're going to broadcast sensei. And then what we're going to do is when, oops, I got to figure out what's going on. Indicator of me thinking is me not talking. Huh. Alright, so since they got way up there, whoops. Oops, wrong thing. What number is it? 1. So let's see what happens. Oh, wow, that's some serious uploading. Now I might have to come back into here and am I connected or not? There we go. Let me see again. We got that upload broadcast mode. I'll explain to you what that's all about in just a second. So we'll ignore that for now. Let's go ahead and play this. It said 0. Now I'm not sure if you what you could see. He's screaming 0, but let's see how far away the box is. Actually, what I got to do is I'm gonna hit the stop button. You are going to repeat this forever. I need to repeat what the sensei is saying. Alright, play. Actually, you know what I gotta do too? Stop. And Maybe we have to make this forever too. A forever loop. Let's get rid of that. So I am at 1. Okay. Oh, maybe I'm supposed to have 1 at a time. Oh, I see what's going on. It doesn't want me to use variables. Trying again. Okay, and we'll say distance. Okay, now let's go to the sprite. What I'm trying to do is get software to talk to hardware, in a sense. So, upload. Oh, don't tell me. Stop. Let's go over here. And info, please, right? Good. All right, here we go. Well, it's not working. But this is what I like to do while my computer is building whatever it is it's doing. What if I'm doing it all wrong? What if I go like this? Oops. Assuming it works. And right now it doesn't seem to be working. Whoops. I mean, I knew that was going to happen, but
Don't let me stop you.
So I'm not sure how to get the sensor to quite work yet. But let's do something else. What I'm done here, I'm going to have you broadcast. And whoops. That's cool. Oops. And then whoop, and then we're going to broadcast flicker. All right, and then we receive when I receive flicker, oops. All right, now we can do this. Hopefully, I don't want to action really. So let's do it 100 times. Actually, let's do this. This is where we duplicate like we did before on left, and this is right. And let's duplicate. So on the right, we're going to make it all zeros. Okay. Oops. We're just going to make it white. Now, if you're sensitive to like flashes and stuff, this might not be for you. Variable. No, 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 no. Control. Wait. 0.05 seconds. Well, let's make it 0.5 seconds for every half second. And then I'm going to duplicate that. Now what we could do, turn this into some police sirens, right? 255. Actually, 255 right here. 0. And then 0. So you're going to do this 100 times. And then show. Um, once it's done, we're going to do it for 10 seconds there. And then I'm going to broadcast something else. Or can I do something else? Yeah. Alright, and now back to this sprite. Alright, and then I'm going to call it Cool Cat. And if all goes well, we will end it on this note. Alright, and let's just save. Okay, great. So let's see if we could do it right. Let me give you this camera. And there we go. It didn't work. Let's find out why. You know why? I bet you it's because I didn't upload. Okay, there it goes. It'll go, and then both will go green once it's done. Man, 100 times is a long time, huh? Well, I got an idea. We're gonna stop this mess. I was right to say '05. and then save. What I wanted to do was this. There you go. It's hard to see with this camera, but it's doing it. There's the green. And we did it. We successfully created a cool program with hardware involvement and everything. I'm going to try to figure out a way to include the Arduino next time. And I'm going to see what all I can do to incorporate this with the work I do. It's going to be interesting. All right, you guys, thank you for sticking with this. I know it's been a very long broadcast. Um, there's plenty more of this coming from. Um, what I want you to do is really subscribe to this channel. I want you to check out the Discord channel as well once you get a chance, and let's see where we can go next time with technology. In the meantime, this is Captain Morgan signing off from the Del Fuego. Have a great day.